cause we can't stop.
Hear the sound of my money machine. See my brand new Benz, watch the chrome rims gleam. The agent investors have found a home of your dreams. Investing in real estate will have you rolling in green. With the power and the knowledge at our fingertips, we are here to share and help get you rich. Eating fancy dinners, driving expensive whips, working out your brain like chest pressing dips. Stop leaning on the books and the courses you bought. The conversations we have cannot be taught. Tune into the podcast with Lewis and Lamore. Our knowledge combined won't sell you short. And I'm out.
Everybody, it's the Agent Investor with Lewis and Lamort. I'm Michael Lamort, Luis Fernandez, and of course we have a special guest, Mark Akjar from Mark's Inspections. And the question I have right away is, why you're not on an inspection right now? What are you doing here?
Well, actually, you made me come. So.
You're not busy enough right now?
I try to get out of it. You're like, you gotta go. No, it's crazy, man. I've never seen anything like this. It's
Yeah, very busy market. So we're here in Mamaroneck at Doc James. I don't smoke cigars, so this is actually I'm actually a victim of peer pressure right now, and I'm admitting that. But I'm just trying to fit in, which is what peer pressure is, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't really smoke cigars. I'm just kind of hanging out a little bit in this place and breathing in all this nice stuff without masks. Yeah. So we have Corona flying around the air, right? Cigar smoke, right? We're all healthy. We're all good.
This kills Corona.
And that kills Corona. Yeah. So yeah, a little different makeup this time than our previous podcast. But very excited to have you come by, stop by on your busy schedule. I know it's really insane right now with the market the way it is.
I appreciate
all the influx. But some of the things that we're going to talk about today is actually we want to talk about businesses and partnerships, because I can say for one that since I've been in the business, I've always believed in collaborating with somebody, and I found it very difficult to collaborate with many people. Not difficult. It's just the stars have to align sometimes, And I have worked with people that I felt very comfortable with. The talents were offset, where I was good with something, the other person was better at something. But I think it's a very difficult task to obtain. So someone who's been in business in a lot of businesses, and you've been in the business for a long time now. How many years you've been?
Maybe 12 years now.
12 years. You don't partner up with anybody. You have your own company, but you have people that work for you.
Yeah, work with me. I don't say anybody
work with. But where does one go if they want to partner up with somebody? Because I am one who always believed that if you could do more with somebody than you can by yourself.
Well, absolutely, Mike. I mean, at the end of the day, the power is behind the people, right? And we all have special, unique talents, strengths, and weaknesses. And at the end of the day, as a business owner, probably Mark knows this, you lead with your strengths. Sometimes you have weaknesses, and you need people to cover your weaknesses in order to get to the next level, right?
Yeah, very.
I've seen Mark since he started, right? And actually, 12 years ago, we probably spoke, and I was like, Mark, you're doing 2-3 inspections a day, right? And I was like, leverage is the name of the game. I remember that conversation I had.
Well, you had a big team at that point.
Right. I had a big team at that time, and I understood that leverage is the name of the game, and leveraging up with the right people, whether it's employees or I call them teammates as well, is it's what's going to drive you and get you to places where you couldn't. Right? You can't handle the Bronx and Dutchess County at the same time by yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you can't multiply yourself unless it's for people.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. I mean, especially in the world of real estate, which is we're all involved in real estate, all three of us in different capacities. Me as an agent, you as an inspector, you as an investor now. But it's like I watch people and I'm very observant, and I see the single agent people that have been killing it for years, doing it at a high level. But the thing is, at some point you're going to burn out,
or they hit a ceiling, right?
Or you're going to hit a ceiling, right? So I've always had that, open mind, that big picture. I knew from day one that, I'm going to need at some point to partner with somebody. Now, I don't need to partner with somebody. I see the benefit in it, But it's a very difficult thing to do because you're dealing with a different personality type. Some people care more about like the spotlight, which at the end of the day, it really shouldn't be about spotlight. It should be about a common. You have to share a common vision with somebody in order to work with somebody, right?
Or a bank account, right?
Or a bank account, yeah. See our bank account?
Yeah. Well, I always tell people your report card is not your real report card is your bank account. Right. Not how many houses sold, right?
Yeah, I mean nobody really cares about how many houses you sold, right? Nobody cares. Like when we're talking to
that's not clients, a legacy. That's not a legacy, right?
Yeah. I mean it's cool to have milestones, of course, and I think it's really cool if you sold 500 homes, 1,000 plus homes. I think it's a very very impressive accolade. You know, and obviously when you're going on listing appointments and you're competing with other brokers, you do have to use whatever you have. But at the end of the day, I don't think people are going to choose you because you sold more than the other guy.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think it really comes down to likability, right? People like you, they're going to work with you. Now, if you know your craft and you're very good at what you do, and that's combined with the likability, it's like you're right there. It's gonna be very hard to be turned away and not get the job.
Right.
You know, of course, your personality also has to line up with the actual client.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you just have a good reputation of who you're referring
Yeah. Absolutely. So, like, if somebody's out there and they're looking to partner up with somebody, maybe there's somebody out there that's brand new, that's like, which I think is a good idea to buddy up with somebody, as we said in the past, but somebody that's newer, maybe they were in where I was, say 8 to 10 years ago, and they had this vision and they want to find somebody to partner up with. What do you think is the right way to start that?
I think the first initial growth is always the hardest thing, getting that admin, like when you're working by yourself and all of a sudden you get the admin and you're like, oh, how am I going to pay this person? How am I going to make payroll every week?
Definitely relate.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you hit that threshold and you're like, and then all of a sudden it just happens, things just materialize after that. That person allows you then to network more, get out there more, and it brings you to the next level. And then you get somebody underneath you, and then just the exponential growth once you create a team. But that initial growth is the hardest part,
Yeah, I mean, it's just like building a house, right? I mean, I knew from day one when really I didn't do any volume, and I was really new into the full-time game of real estate because I started out part-time, as many may know. I did 3 years part-time, maybe sold 5 houses in 3 years, 6 houses, and then I left my sanitation gig and jumped into real estate full-time, not knowing when I was going to have a paycheck again. But one of the first things I did was hire an admin part-time.
Right.
Why? Because I knew that you don't get somebody when you need them, you grow into that.
Right.
And once you understand business, because obviously I've been in business before real estate, and I've always had a business mindset,
Right.
it's kind of common sense, right? Because if you think about it, you're super busy, you get into the game, and now you need help. Now you have to take away from your business in order to train somebody to help you, right?
Lewis went through a lot.
Yeah, well,
he went through a lot of people.
Yeah, well, you have to hire before you need anybody, right? Like, you got to be prepared.
But people say
That's because they
I
see
got
it an
money.
expense. They see it an expense, right?
Right.
So you got to hire people before you need them, so you can catch all the rain, right? And when you're creating, and like Mark is like created a really nice path, and I follow Mark all the time, and on what he's done. That's
he's all over the place.
Well, that's why like Mark is times 7 now, right? Or
actually, I think
times
Mark.
10,
I think Mark is right here, right now, and then Pro at the same time.
Well, he's making money as he's sitting here, right?
All right, it's amazing,
right? So it's leverage, right?
Well, it's real wealth too. Being able to sit here and we're all, we're making money as we're sitting here.
Right, yeah, and the most important thing, Mark, is like creating a path for others, right?
Yeah.
Because not all the people that you have might stay with you.
Yeah.
Well, they'll stay for you for a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years, or whatever. But if your vision is bigger than anybody else's, then they'll continue to follow you, and you'll lose some people in the process, right?
Maybe
It's natural.
I think my business is a little bit different, where I don't necessarily think I'm going to lose anybody, because I can provide the opportunity for them to stay and then for them to grow. So there's no ceiling for them.
Well, you're creating a path that nobody created for you,
and nobody has it.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a really cool thing. It's called paying it forward.
Yep.
Because when you start putting your time into people, especially people that are going to work with you, your goal, right, should always be to help them achieve their highest level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because that's very rewarding.
Empowerment.
Yeah, because I know before, when I was younger, because I'm still young, but when I was younger, I'm young. Yeah. But when I worked at delis and pizzerias, and I worked for a contractor or swinging a hammer, whatever I was doing, I always treated somebody else's business like it was mine because I had pride and I cared. And when you see talent like that, those are the type of people you do want to train, help, and like Louis said, there are going to be people who leave.
Right.
But one thing I always tell or explain to people that have the opportunity to work with me and I have the opportunity to work with them is that, at some point you may step outside the umbrella, but that doesn't mean we still can't work together.
And you could look for other venues as well, right?
Yeah, I mean,
business
it's
venues, right?
Yeah, seriously, it's like a seed growing, tree goes up, then a branch grows off, and then the branch goes off the branch.
Right.
So other opportunities come from hanging out with like-minded people, working with like-minded people, but it's a lot of time, obviously, training people.
Yeah, and getting a quality person is very difficult. That's why you don't have a hard time growing. It's just because the standards that we have for the people that we recruit are very, very stringent.
But what's your what do you do? If you have somebody that comes to you and says, "Hey, Mark, I see you all over social media. You're doing inspections all the time. You seem very knowledgeable. I just got my inspector license. can you help me? What is your response to somebody like that?
Well, we have a lot of guys. I get a phone call probably 3 or 4 times a month. Oh, Mark, I want to get into it. I want to get into the business. I'm like, all right, you got to buckle down, and you're gonna have to train with us for a year. And they're like, a year? I'm like, yeah, 1 year. And that's hard for a lot of people to do. But I show them how much they can make, and they're like, okay. A lot of guys, they just buckle down. They say, okay, we're gonna do it for 1 year solid training.
Set the bar up front, right?
Yeah, but it's pretty much after that you're guaranteed money for.
So basically, up front, somebody comes to you, you basically like, hey, it's 1 year. It's gonna be a lot of time, because I know one thing I say to people is don't focus on the money,
right?
Because if you focus on the money, it's like you're just not doing the right thing. You need to be educated in order to make sure you're able to help people the way you're supposed to. Because the fact that you have a license, people think you know everything you're supposed to know, right? So you really have to absorb, take that information, grow with it, internalize it, right? And then do the right things. What I've noticed is that there's been a lot of people who come in, they talk, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then they disappear. They don't listen. They don't treat it. They treat it like a 9 to 5, and because this is not a 9 to 5.
No.
It's called what it is.
It's a lifestyle.
It's
not even a job.
I mean, people could be watching this podcast and be like, okay, look at these guys, they're hanging out. Literally, it's what? It's like 11:45 in the morning on a Friday, right? But I've been up since 3 o'clock. You've been up since 3 o'clock. You've probably been up early. You go jogging in the morning? I don't know for what.
Not today.
Not today?
That's tomorrow.
I don't know where. Like honestly, I mean, you're very thin, and I'm scared. When I see you run, I get very worried.
Yeah, no. I do a lot of training at the house. I have a personal trainer come to the house.
You have a personal trainer come to the house?
Yeah, come to the house. He trains me and the kids, and we all do a whole workout routine. It's been great for me because Louis saw me 12 years ago. When you're working 7 days a week trying to build your business, you sacrifice your body, you sacrifice.
What thing happened over here?
Yeah, so it's.
This is all sacrifice. This is not laziness or the fact that I love to shove food down my throat. This is pure lack of. Exercise because I'm so dedicated to my business. That sounds good, right?
Yeah, and I remember you telling me, it was like 10 years ago, you're like, no, and he was straight up, Louis and I have been friends for a long time. He's like, dude, you're starting to gain weight. And I'm like, it's honest, I'm like, I'm sacrificing everything I did, time with my family, eating right, eat pizza on the way in between the
sections. It's difficult, though. It's difficult. I've struggled. I lose 20 pounds, and then I gain 30 pounds. It's like, it's like when you save $1, you get a bill for 2. Where am I going? All right? Just constantly chasing. So it's a very tough thing. Especially with a very demanding schedule, and especially when you have a family as well. You got kids. I got a kid. You got
a bunch of them.
You have
I don't pick up the phone on Father's Day.
Yeah, I know it's something plural. I just didn't know how many I was supposed to say. Plus the ones you didn't even know about.
Right. That's true.
Right, Adam. Guys.
Yeah, no, they're great. I think when you get a personal trainer that comes to the house to it gives you. It makes you do it.
That's accountability.
Commitment.
Exactly, right.
That's accountability.
That's why people hire people, right? Coaches, right? Accountability.
When they show up at your house, you're like, there's not like, I'm not going to the gym today. I might go, and then you get a phone call and you can't go. And they show up at the house, you're like, guys, they're waiting for you.
You block it. You block the time.
Yeah. Another thing too, going back to the business building, one thing I've noticed that sometimes it's kind of difficult to try to keep the morale up because, I feel in the real estate sales business, it's very fast paced. It's a very fast-paced thing, and it's like one thing after the other, and it's so easy to get pulled in so many different directions.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, what does one do to try to keep morale?
It's very fast-paced if you have no structure, right? You have your models and systems. If you have your models and systems, you should really be stepping away from the business, right? And that's actually, I wanted to ask Mark a question because I haven't seen him in a long time. How do you focus on the business and at the same time still being in the business, right? Because your role as a CEO should kind of be stepping outside.
Explain the difference. You have in the business and you have on the business.
Right. So, I see you doing a lot of inspections. You just told me you're going to do 4,000 inspections this year. Super impressive. But how do you go outside the business so that you could focus on the business without you really being in the business, but being in the business at the same time?
Yeah, I think doing things like this, I think are super important to that's tough. It's like you just work every day.
Yeah, but you want to scale it to the next level.
Yeah, scale it to the next level. Creating layers. As you build up, and then you start to relieve the pressure. You hire a new guy, and we have 2 guys in training right now that are trying to go through it. Eventually, just relieve the pressure.
Because I tell Mike all the time, driving 1,000 miles an hour doesn't really get you where you need to be, right? Because you can't see anything.
No, and that's what I tell people.
You can't even see the cop, right?
I tell my guys, they're like, one dude's did 7 a.m. today, and he's doing a 7 p.m. today. And I'm like, dude, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You got to really marathon your way through this, because I don't see this dying out in the next, month or 2. It's gonna be
at least to the end of the year.
At least to the end of the year. And that's a long time. To work 7 days a week.
You get burned out.
You do get burned out.
And what we do, you can't.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
My cigar burnt out too. Yeah, but it's a difficult thing, and obviously you have people come, people go, and you put your time into people, right? And then they don't show up, and then they're not the right one, and then you wasted 3 months. But
well, you don't really waste 3 months.
Well, you can. I mean, sometimes you're dealing the wrong people.
Well, I'll tell you, and it's funny that Mark said that. Like he goes through the interview process, it goes a year, right?
Yeah.
I have multiple businesses, and I tell all the people that are involved with me, and this just happened 2 months ago. I said I will never hire anybody that doesn't have a good aura.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Right? Like, and it took me 10, 12, 15 years to really figure it out, right? Yeah. Like, I own a restaurant, and, my manager's like, oh, maybe we should hire her. And I was like, dude, just hire her. Yeah. Her aura is just unreal. Yeah. You can make up everything else. Yeah. Past history, workload, right? But you can't make the aura, right?
Yeah.
The aura comes with
natural.
it. So, like, when I see people with an aura, it's immediate hire. I mean, if they...
Yeah, then you
meet the criteria, right?
Then you have the trust, and they want to work harder, and you provide.
And the aura is what everybody sees.
Yeah. Especially the restaurant industry. You work so many hours every week with them,
Yeah. Yeah, but when you go back to what you said before, you mentioned models and systems. Yeah. Right. So what would be a good example of models and systems?
Well, you have an organization and a flow of how everything is done, and what role everybody plays, and what role you're going to play, right? And as you should become a CEO just like Mark is. Maybe Mark is not acting as a true CEO because he's got to step out of the business to create a bigger business. Maybe he, and I had this conversation with Mark 12 years ago when he first started. I was like, dude,
that's when he was fat.
I was like, but I said to you, you should be franchising this stuff.
Yeah. Well, maybe eventually, maybe that's.
But
I don't want to put it out there.
But we talked about this 12 years ago when you were a solo guy.
Right.
And it's the vision that you have that creates the model of systems you have, right?
You can't go any way without the vision.
If you see it, if you visualize it, we were talking about this morning, you have clarity on what you're going, then you can go, right? So it's funny, we had that conversation. I remember crystal clear in the steps of Keller Williams. Right. We're like, you're going to franchise. I said, just fire. It's like, dude, you got to franchise. It's funny, right?
But yeah,
vision.
Good point.
But do you guys see too, as you grow your business and as you get more successful, people want to come to you? You don't have to go through that. Remember you used to go on Craigslist and you'd be throwing ads out there all the time for people. How many ads did you go through? 12. Yeah. 12. Like over 6 months. I'm like, he's got a new admin today.
Well, when you build it, they will come, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When people do well, there's usually no shortage.
You attract, right?
You attract. It's a magnet. But you have to know when to hire, how to hire, and how to fire.
And who to hire.
Yeah. So I know, like, the way I do it. I got taught, through Keller, through one of my other mentors, Rich Amato, who taught me about the KPAs that Keller has, which is a Keller personal assessment. So, like, I don't hire anybody unless they take that assessment. And what that assessment does, it tells me their personality types and how they need to be treated, and in every part of their personality. And then what we do is we take that. It's a thick package too. It's really, really cool. What we do is we get the report. Yep. I'll look it over. I'll sit down with the person, and then I verify the report. Scale 1 to 10, is this statement right? Scale 1 to 10, is this statement right? Okay, it's a 7 out of 10. Okay, what would make it a 10? Right, and that's how you really hire somebody, because, I learned the hard way like everybody else.
Yep. Take them on.
Hired somebody because I liked them. Right. We had a good rapport. Right, and then 2 months later, I'm like, they're not gonna work out. They're this, or that. Yeah. But that could be prevented.
Well, it's like a relationship, It's like you can't judge that person in the first interview, the 30 minutes that you have them, to now want to invest all your time and money.
Yeah, only if there's a trailer on a relationship, right? Right. We both be single. Right. But that's just the name of the game. But you have to know how to hire people, and I've definitely learned that over the last, I would say, 4 years, how to hire somebody the right way. Because likability just isn't enough. You really need to know more about people. Other than what's
your background. It's not about being likable.
Well, but that's the normal way people do things.
It's because we're emotional creatures and we just make decisions with emotions, not with facts. Right?
Yeah, that's another thing we're talking about.
Like Dave Ramsey says that you should hire somebody, you should interview somebody, and then invite them to dinner with a significant other. And if if the girlfriend or boyfriend is crazy, then crazy's gonna impact their business. Then you don't hire them, right? It's like that's how deep you should go to really figure out people, right?
Taking someone out for dinner might be a lot cheaper than keeping on somebody for 3 months.
Yeah, and the time, the time that you invest in, not even so much the money sometimes, it's the time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the time is very,
and it holds you back from your goal.
Very valuable.
Go further.
Yeah, it's a whole setback. Yeah. That's the only good thing that comes out of that is that you learn from it. you learn that, hey,
hopefully
you do. But what could I have done differently than the way I did this? And that, honestly, I must have did that 3 or 4 times to realize now I do it differently, so that I can try to skip that step. That's the way I do the hiring process now. It's been a big help. But firing people was another thing I had a hard time with, because I make the mistake sometimes of becoming a little too close with people who work with me. Because
back to like what Lewis was saying, like loyal creatures. We love to have people around. It's tough sometimes to let people go, and you're a very loyal guy.
A loyal guy, but I'm also I always like to put the joke somewhere. And I can't help that. I'm just like to be humorous, and I find the humor in everything.
Right.
Sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's bad. Because I'll find the humor in the most disturbing thing, but I'll find the humor in it. But when that happens and you create laughter in a workplace, which I think is good, I think somebody that's working with you, looking to build with you, might take kindness for weakness sometimes.
Yeah, that's
so it's a very
most of the time
it's a very very fine line there.
Do you find that more with your office staff or your teams that are?
No, office staff is I think office staff relationships are very very good. Yeah. Always have been. Any brokerage I was at?
Because that's your foundation, like your office staff.
Yeah, but at Keller, your office staff is really your team.
Yeah.
The office, they do other things and they're very, very helpful.
Right.
The Keller office in White Plains, where I've been for 3 years now, they're phenomenal. From the team leader, to the ownership, to Gary, to everybody else. They're really, really solid people.
Yeah.
They've been very, very, very great people. But because Keller basically allows you to grow a team, it's like growing a brokerage under a brokerage.
Yeah.
So you're basically hiring your own people.
Right.
You're not relying on the Keller Williams staff to do everything you need done in your business.
Just giving you the tools in your chest that
Yeah, well, you're basically just running like a brokerage.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It's a really different outfit, and I've enjoyed it. It's been a major mind shift going from a place like Houlihan or Coldwell Banker or Rand, where I've learned something in each step of the place I was, but I did learn that, overall, it's just not the model for me.
Right.
It's not the what's the word they use for entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. It's just not the entrepreneurship model that I see.
Well, most people in real estate are not entrepreneurs to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Well, you get the real estate license, I can be a realtor now. They think you just going around.
Well, I said that before.
It's easier than getting a nail technician license.
No, I've done that. I've done that. I thought when I was part time, I was working for a garbage company. I was making very good money. I was driving crazy hours. Blah blah blah. I was like, I got my license and I'll sell one house a month. 3-4 months go by.
Yeah.
I'm like staring at the sky, waiting for a deal to fall out of the sky. Nothing happened, and that's when I realized I better get to work.
Yeah.
Because they ain't just gonna come hand it to you.
Right.
But how many people you have working with you right now?
We have 7 guys, 7 inspectors. We have 2 in training.
So the 7 includes the 2 in training?
No, it doesn't include.
So you have 7
full
guys
day.
out there doing inspections every day.
Yep, every day.
Wow.
7 days a week, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you maintain the accounts? Making sure the invoices are going out and getting paid, making sure that you guys get paid, making sure how do you maintain all that?
That's part of that foundation that we have for our office staff is amazing.
How many people have in the office?
We have two people in the office, so they having a great office.
That's a lot. That's not a lot of people for that many people.
Yeah, no, they're great, but they also work 7 days a week too.
Yeah,
they love what they do. And kind of a side note, I find that.
So if you don't want a life, go work for you.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I also find too when you cross that that $100,000 price range, you start to get real good quality people. When they start making over 100, you really get that next level of quality person. Below 100, you can probably, in Westchester, I'm sure it's different in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
But here, you really get quality people here for that. People that will stay
around.
It
makes a huge difference. Huge difference.
Now, I'm kind of old school. Lewis and I have a lot of conversations about this subject, but, I grew up disciplined.
Right.
So, when my father was alive, he passed away in 1990, I was 13 years old. He already had me in check before he passed.
Right.
When he said no, there was no come on man.
Right.
Come on man. Because if there was a come on man, it would be belt them right out.
Right.
And I was getting an ass whooping. But so because I grew up that way, I feel like I run my life that way too. There has to be structure, and there has to be that sense of responsibility. And I think when you're hiring somebody, I think you do have to set the bar a little high, and I think there has to be a level of discipline.
Right.
Because how are you going to be a leader and not be disciplined? And I think Lewis sometimes can say, hey, I think you might be too hard on your team or whatever the case may be. And maybe I am.
Right.
I just don't know any other way. I know what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean it works for everybody because we're all different personalities. But I do think there has to be a level of accountability and a level of discipline. Because I think without that, I think it's a recipe for failure.
Yeah, well, this makes you a great entrepreneur. It made Lewis a great entrepreneur. You know, that self-drive, you know, to want to get up every day and push. And that's what's hard to find people that want to work.
That's
for
the
you
hardest part about building.
That have that, you know.
You know? Like these guys, why not you meet them? They do nothing. All day long, they're building like that 50 people. They drive around all day long, getting pulled over, smoking cigars. Man, I was talking to these guys. I was talking to Fran and Tony the other day, right? Talking to Tony the other day about, you know, going on a diet. Let's go walking. What does he do? He comes over chocolate-covered strawberries.
Right.
Right?
You got to find your friends, man.
You gotta find your friends. Not good. Anti-productive. Right? And then what happened the next day? I was like, you got any more? You got any more? You got any more chocolate-covered strawberries? No, we're just having a little fun there. But yeah, but it's all good. But it's I think it's very, very important to have that structure. And honestly, I think, you know, I have that mindset. Like, what doesn't break you makes you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And so I'm sorry. Like, if somebody feels like I'm being hard on somebody that's working with me, then, you know, maybe you're just not the right fit for me. I don't know. Like, I don't know any other way.
Well, think about all the hard times we went through. You know, everybody thinks success is just like, you know, a straight path. It's
They think it's a magic pill.
Fail. You know, it's,
Oh,
it's
man, I failed so many times.
Constantly hitting walls. You know?
Failed so many times. But that's part of, like, you know, I always said the value is in the journey.
Yeah.
The value isn't in the paycheck. The value isn't.
It's a process, you know. You can't circumvent the process, and you got to pay your dues, right?
Yeah, there's no magic pill. Like, you gotta, like, in order to succeed, I believe, in any industry, like, you really gotta grind. You gotta put your time into it.
Right.
You know. So what moving forward? What's the next year or 2 years looking for Marks Inspections?
You know, I guess, like I said, the ultimate goal eventually be to, like, you know, just mimic, you know, cut and paste. You know, once you have, you know, your good office staff and you have, you know, good procedures, it's just a copy paste. You know, and that's how anybody really becomes a very large successful company.
Yeah.
You know, so
How many states you servicing now?
New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
So you divide it by territories, or?
yeah, usually I try to keep guys around where they live in that area, but, you know, we have guys driving out in the middle of Long Island now, you know, and I don't have anybody in Long Island, so it's tough to get somebody to build an area down there, and some of these areas far out, like Mystic, Connecticut and stuff like that.
Wow.
You know, it's you know, it's really.
So you kind of need an HR person now.
Yeah, I don't know about HR. They kind of have their own. I do a lot of that management myself, which hopefully eventually helps to delegate to somebody else. But that's maybe my plateau I'm meeting right now, is trying to be able to.
That's your ceiling.
Yeah, I like it. I answer all the phone calls. You know, when somebody calls me up, Mike hits me up. You know, a lot of my relationships with agents are very deep. You know, so like I'm.
But you also like, what's funny about you is, like, I can call you, and most of the time you pick up the phone.
Oh, it's you.
Right?
It's Mike.
Well,
it's Mike.
I appreciate that, but it's no, I'm not like the president.
Yeah.
That's actually debatable these days, right? You know, nobody even likes the president. But you know, but there are times when you don't pick up the phone, but you always call right back. So you are very good with that.
I text.
Very, very good with that, which is impressive, because you're.
But you can't scale it.
Yeah.
You
can't scale that.
Yeah.
Can't scale that. Yeah.
Can't franchise it.
Yeah, well, that's why I hope the guys become their own franchise, their own development, so it can be, you know, somewhat like a Keller to those guys.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and provide the tools and everything, so they don't want to leave. They want to grow. You know, there's
give them territories.
Yeah, but listen, I want to. We want to thank you so much for stopping by today. I know you're crazy busy right now, and it's been fun. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you come back again and talk with us.
Thanks, man.
There's just so much to talk about, and you know, that's going to wrap up this podcast, and we're going to have Mark back again. Anybody needs a home inspection, Mark's Inspections. Want to throw out a phone number, please?
Yeah, my number is 914-774-5025.
All right, thanks so much for checking us out. Michael Lamore, Luis Fernandez, and our special guest, Mark Akchar. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we won't stop, cause we can't stop.
Hear the sound of my money machine. See my brand new Benz, watch the chrome rims gleam. The agent investors have found a home of your dreams. Investing in real estate will have you rolling in green. With the power and the knowledge at our fingertips, we are here to share and help get you rich. Eating fancy dinners, driving expensive whips, working out your brain like chest pressing dips. Stop leaning on the books and the courses you bought. The conversations we have cannot be taught. Tune into the podcast with Lewis and Lamore. Our knowledge combined won't sell you short. And I'm out.